looks like we are good to go. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel. Today we're doing another reading of Encyclopedia Eorzea, covering the summary of ARR at about now. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell so you're always notified when I go live with these readings, or when I post a video of either the readings or some of my gameplay content. And leave a comment if you'd like to discuss anything I bring up, because I always love to talk about 14 more. But for now, let's just get straight into it. The Lord of Crags. The Scions were soon forced to turn their attention to Vilbrand, where the kobolds were said to have once more summoned their patron god Titan to defend their land from Limsalaminsa's aggressive expansion. This was not the first time the Lord of Crags had been called forth from the ether, though. For 12 years earlier, in 1565, the famed Company of Heroes had been employed to rid the land of the primal menace. They succeeded, but at great cost, and in the wake of the calamity, the mercenary group chose to disband. Bereft of other options, the Maelstrom turned to the Scions of the Seventh Dawn for aid. Ishtola and the adventurer's first course of action was to seek out the erstwhile members of the Company of Heroes, believing them to be possessed of invaluable tactical knowledge. After many trials and tribulations, the purpose of which was not entirely clear at the time, this supposition was proven true, and the Scions learned of an aetherite, which could be used to deliver forces directly into Titan's sanctuary. And so, in a moment that shall forever be enshrined in the annals of Eorzean history, the adventurer slew the Lord of Crags and spared Limsalaminsa his terrible vengeance. Alas, this triumph would be tempered by a terrible tragedy. Upon returning to the Waking Sands, the adventurer was greeted by a sight to make his blood run cold: the bodies of beloved allies, victims of a desperate struggle. Among them was Eorzea, a Sylphic ally, and through her memories, the adventurer learned that the carnage was the result of an imperial raid led by Livia Sasjunis, a tribunus who served under Gaius von Baelsar. Having come for the Icon Slayer, they left instead with Minfilia and other senior scions, but not before slaughtering countless others with impunity. Friends lost and found. With her dying breath, Eorzea implored the adventurer to seek shelter at the Church of Saint Adama Landama. Heeding her counsel, he sought out Father Iliad, and by the secret words of the Scions, marked him as a friend. The adventurer abided there in secret for a time, assisting with the funeral rites for his fallen comrades. He befriended a man named Marques, a survivor of Cartnos suffering from amnesia, who had retained advanced engineering skills from his former life. However, this brief respite came to an end when, one day, Alphino Levior cast open the doors of the church. The young grandson of Arkon Louisois had crossed paths with the adventurer several times before, including at the remembrance services held to commemorate the Battle of Cartnet. A Charlayan nobleman and graduate of the studium, the youth of 16 summers and his twin sister Alice had come to Eorzea against the wishes of his father, that they might join with the Scions of the Seventh Dawn and carry on their grandfather's legacy to safeguard the realm. Having learned of a new primal threat following the attack on the Waking Sands, he had resolved to enlist the help of the surviving adventurer, and that of the famed Cid non Garlond. The Garlean engineer had fled the Empire 15 years ago, and come to Eorzea, where he founded the Garlond Ironworks, a company dedicated to the development and production of advanced magtech. He had shared his knowledge of Garlean technology with the people of Eorzea, and served as a trusted advisor to the Alliance, and even gone so far as to take part in military operations, such as when he delivered a group of adventurers to Rivenroad to confront Nael von Darnus. Cid had vanished in the calamity and was presumed by many to have died. But in truth, the engineer had survived. Robbed of his memories by the tragic events of that day, he had wandered aimlessly until coming to the Church of Saint Adama Landama, where he was taken into the care of Father Iliad and given the name Marques. Though he was somewhat confused by Alphino's claims, Cid sensed that the boy spoke truth, and decided to assist him and the adventurer in the hopes that it might help him recover his memory. To combat Garlemald's imperial ambitions, Sidnon Garlon shared many secrets of Magitech's technology with the Eorzean alliance, including the ceruleum engine. The search for the Enterprise. Alphino revealed that the Ixal of Gridania had summoned Garuda, a fearsome and bloodthirsty primal. Yet therein lied an opportunity, or so the youth believed. For if they somehow managed to defeat Garuda, it would serve as a warning to other beast tribes that even their mightiest gods could be felled. If they were to face their foe, however, they would need circumvent the tempest which shielded her sanctuary, a feat only capable with the Enterprise, Sid's missing airship. The search for the Enterprise led the trio to the Ishgardian territory of Central Coerthus, a land as cold and unwelcoming as its people. However, with the aid of an eccentric knight of House Fortem and a young nobleman of House Halionar, the party learned that the airship could be found in the Stone Vigil, an Ishgardian fortress which had been overrun by their Gervanian enemies years ago. Having no choice, they fought their way deep into the fallen fortress, until at last they came upon the Enterprise, and with it make their escape back to Gridania. Originally designed to serve as a line of defense against horde incursions into western Coerthus, the Stone Vigil was repurposed before its fall to the Gervanians to house Ishgard's small yet formidable fleet of aerial warships. The Lady of the Vortex. Years of neglect had taken its toll on the Enterprise, and in its condition the airship could not possibly withstand the tumultuous winds which encircled the Howling Eye, Garuda's sanctuary. To safely breach the barrier, Sid devised a plan to harness the power of a corrupted crystal, that they might alter the elemental aspect of the aether comprising the primal's defenses. Working closely with the esteemed Professor Lambertent and his dedicated pupils, the adventurer obtained a corrupted crystal to power Sid's newly fashioned elemental converter, and at long last the trio embarked upon their journey to confront Garuda. Stirred by the familiar roar of the Enterprise's engines, Sid endeavored to recall his past, but it was only with the aid of the adventurer's echo that he at last came to remember his name, his people, and his purpose. Amidst the whirling winds, the adventurer succeeded in striking down the Lady of the Vortex, only to see her rise once more, reinvigorated by the belief of her Ixali disciples. It was at this moment that Gaius von Baelsar then entered the fray, seemingly bent on goading the defeated primal into one final act of defiance. Garuda duly obliged, slaughtering her captive kobolds and Amalja, whose cries of agony served to summon their own patron deities. As Garuda prepared to consume the aether of her lesser brethren, the Black Wolf called forth the Ultima weapon, an Allagan relic found buried deep beneath Girabania, and restored by Garlean Magitech, which summarily dispatched and seemingly absorbed all three primals. Wholly unprepared to face this awe-inspiring new foe, the adventurer and his allies had no choice but to flee for their lives. We've got a bit of time. Let's see if I can do one more page. Reclaiming the Dawn's Light. Alphino, Sid, and the adventurer sought refuge within the echoing halls of the Waking Sands, and there were reunited with the scions Ida and Ishtola. The pair had spent the days since the raid on their headquarters attempting to locate their missing comrades, and their inquiries had at last borne fruit. Minfilia and the other high-ranking scions were being held prisoner in Castrum Sentry, an imperial stronghold in Mordona. Recognizing that it would be no small task to free them, the adventurer and his comrades set about gathering more intelligence, and in the process were reunited with Biggs and Wedge, two Garland Ironworks engineers who had been captured along with the other scions, but had managed to escape during transport. After regrouping in Mordona's Revenant's Toll, the engineers and the scions hatched a plan to infiltrate Castrum Sentry by impersonating Garlean soldiers. With the assistance of local adventurers, they obtained Imperial uniforms and a Magitech Reaper, and with them managed to enter the Castrum undetected and free Minfilia, Papalimo, Uriange, and Tataru. Reunited, the Scions narrowly escaped the wrath of Livius Sas Junius by leaping aboard the Enterprise. But as they flew to safety, they spied Gaius von Balsar standing beside the Ultima weapon and the Osean La Habrea, who, to the Scion's dismay, threw back his hood to reveal the face of Thancred, their friend and ally, whom the Osean had been controlling for some time. Operation Arkon. Surrender to the Empire, or share the fate of the false gods he had pledged to exterminate. Such was the ultimatum Gaius von Balsar had issued to the Alliance leaders, spurring them to convene an emergency meeting in Ulda. Though they balked at the legatus' terms, they believed they had no choice, for the Scions of the Seventh Dawn were gone. Or so they believed, until Minfilia and the others strode into the fragrant chamber. In urgent tones, she and Alphino implored them not to surrender, to place their faith once more in the Scions, and stand together against von Balsar and his Ultima weapon. Owing to this timely intervention, Eorzea's leaders resolved to fight the Empire to the last, and at once turned their attentions to the matter of how best to coordinate their military might. So it was that Operation Arkon was conceived, the largest single counteroffensive in the realm's troubled history, in which the Alliance would strike at every Imperial stronghold standing upon Eorzean soil. The first phase of Operation Arkon saw the Alliance eliminate one of the Black Wolf's most trusted lieutenants, Retaking Sas Arvina. Acting on intelligence that he would be visiting Cape Westwind for a routine inspection, the Immortal Flames launched an assault on the Imperial outpost. The adventurer then led a small unit into the innermost sector, and at the end of a fierce struggle, dealt the Praefectus his death blow. With Ridditon's demise, the forces garrisoned at Castrum Occidens were thrown into disarray, allowing the Alliance to commence the second phase of Operation Arkon. The Maelstrom laid siege to the leaderless stronghold, and Admiral Merlwyb herself led the Crimson Fleet to blockade Castrum Meridium. Meanwhile, in the Twelves Wood, the Order of the Twin Adder and a contingent of sylphs surrounded Castrum Oriens, thus completely severing Castrum Meridonium's primary lines of supply. For the third phase of Operation Arkon, the Order of the Twin Adder blockaded the railway connecting Sentry and Meridonium, preventing the timely arrival of reinforcements from Mordona. The Immortal Flames then marched against the stronghold with all their strength, though in truth, this was but a feint. Alright, and that leaves us off on a lovely cliffhanger for next time for those who haven't already played through the ARR story and know exactly what happens there. Not to worry, next weekend will carry all of your answers. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, hope you subscribed, liked, and I will see you next time for more.